Good googly moogly. It's the MCU all over again. I never thought I'd see Star Wars crash in the same way Marvel did, but here we are. I mean, if Ahsoka didn't spit in our faces enough, then the Acolyte made sure to. Anyways, let's do a quick and dirty recap of the plot so far. May is a Sith Acolyte who's murdering Jedi. More specifically, the 4 Jedi that were on our home planet 16 years ago. She has a twin, Osha, who gets temporarily framed for the murders. Turns out she's a former Jedi and gets exonerated pretty quickly after they end up in the same place at once. 16 years prior, we find out that Osha and May belong to an all-women Space Witch clan, who give off very culty vibes. The 4 Jedi were there and they tested the twins. May fails on purpose while Osha passes. May gets mad that Osha was going to leave and starts a massive fire to kill her. Then, back in the present, Osha has joined her former master on their hunt for May. May, feeling remorseful, has decided to defect to the Jedi, but is interrupted by her Sith master. Yeah. So, let's talk about a couple positives before I start ranting. There are a lot of aliens in this series, and they're all very cool looking. I, at the very least, can appreciate the costuming, VFX, and makeup crew for putting in the work with this one. Most of the aliens look very good, and especially the more human-looking ones, minus the Mirrorland. It was bad. The costuming was also quite good. It was all very unique, and reminded me of the High Republic, sort of, as it should. I think the technology was pretty spot on, being not quite as advanced, but also more advanced than the Old Republic. For me, it hit that sweet spot. Anyways, plot-wise, the pacing is awful. I was not even marginally interested until the 3rd and 4th episode, and even then, if I didn't run this channel, I wouldn't have watched any further, or rather, I would have not watched beyond the first 2 episodes. It was a bit boring, to be honest. There was nothing interesting enough or eye-catching enough to keep my attention in the beginning episodes, and after Mando Season 3 and Ahsoka, the IP sure as hell isn't a reason to stay. I mean, it can't even commit to the genre it's attempting to portray. It's supposed to be an action-packed murder mystery. You know, the genre where the murder is supposed to be a mystery, not the genre where the murderer is revealed in the first 10 minutes. Yep, nothing like the most obvious twin plotline ever. I mean, you could have had them have the same haircut, or maybe similar demeanors, or anything that would have made it more of a mystery. Anything. But
Olivia, I feel like I'm losing my mind.
Side effect of watching this show. I'm not gonna try to address the space witches. I can't even add to the convo on that. Actually, I lied. Can we talk about how they're implied to be a race of women, but they're all different species? Like, if you can just induct more women into your coven, what's the point of having children? Like, I could get maybe if they were an isolated species, but there's so many different species that it makes more sense that they would induct people into their ranks rather than reproduce. Why is that framed as their only option? Also the chant. Awful. Enough said. Okay, let's get into my final thoughts. First, I think this show is very Star Trek-y, which is never a good thing when it comes to Star Wars. Like, imagine this plotline with Star Trek characters, and it might just work. It doesn't feel like Star Wars at all. Secondly, the coolest thing in this show is the Sith Lord, and if he turns out to be a space witch, I will stop watching the new Star Wars shows. It's probably the smuggler dude, though. Hopefully. Thirdly, I wanted this show to be good so bad. So I'm not gaslighting you when I say this show is awful. It's soulless, it fails at basic plot structure. I only give a slight shit about Osha, and even then, I think it's just to make the rest of the show more bearable. At this point, they're making me root for the Sith just so he kills everyone and puts me out of my misery. And finally, this show needs to stop being the prequels. They may have been hated at one point, but they are now beloved nearly as much as the original trilogy. So honestly, any reference, any similarity, or any inconsistency in lore is a massive risk for new shows. Unfortunately for the Acolyte, it came in swinging in this regard. A little too aggressively, I might add. So, if my distaste for the show wasn't already strong enough, that also made it worse. Anyways, I'll see you again at the end of this show. Rune out.